topics I want to explore. The first one is guides. Now, when dreaming, I think it's important if one meets with people that you know or that you're familiar with, friends or family, or people who you may have had a more difficult relationship with. I think it's intriguing to see how the quality of the friendship or the quality of the relationship you have with that person changes and evolves as a result of having encountered that person in a dream. I think there's an evolutionary imperative in every relationship for intelligence, compassion, love, growth, and those sorts of things to change who you are and who they are, and that can be useful as a in its own right, as a friendship or as a relationship in its own right. I think it's some people talk about spirit guides. My experience has been that people who I am no longer able to relate with, either through circumstance or through divergent patterns of growth in the real world, I might then go on to dream about them, and the quality of that encounter can often be a kind of wish fulfillment thing, or I don't know if that sounds a bit sort of crude or oversimplistic, but there's still the natural inclination is still to connect with people, and the great thing I think about meeting someone in a dreamscape is that the boundaries are still there, but they shift and they become more fluid and flexible. So I can understand why people believe in spirit guides, and I can understand why people reach the conclusion in their view of particular relationships where that person who you knew from before becomes a kind of spirit guide to you, or represents a particular energy signature that enables your continuing growth. Thank you for that, for understanding that. The second thing I wanted to talk about was kind of what prompted me to get into this. There's the need for the sense of liberation. Psychologically or psychically, I experience life in such a way that I regularly feel fairly isolated. So I wouldn't go so far as to call it loneliness. I think there's definitely a developmental trajectory involved in growing growing through dreams, using dreams as a means of maturation. There's a couple of people who I want to give a shout out to, because in one way or another they have been supportive to me in this process. The first one is my mum. Yesterday I had a conversation online with her, in the real world, I should point out. And she's a shaman. She implicitly accepts the reality of loving intention, that animals can be a source of energetic focus, that we can use that energetic focus to feel guided in how we develop. So you might, as an initiate into the shamanistic tradition, you would quite often you would choose a guide animal, and that animal kind of embodies the particular energy signature that you're looking to move into kind of confluence with. And if you're interested, those of you who wish to, can message my mum. I'm sure she's looking for new people to engage with her in that process all the time. She runs a regular sort of meditation group where people come in groups of 10 or 12, and they sit in the garden or in the lounge if it's too cold and wet, and they go on what are described as vision quests, which is effectively conscious dreaming, always looking to grow or to resolve difficult issues in a safe and shared environment. So I think, thanks for being there, Mum, and yeah, I hope we catch up on Zoom soon, because there's all sorts of things I'd like to discuss with you. The second person I want to say a big thank you to is Kyle, because we had this fabulous conversation about a year ago, I think it was. We were sat in his garage enjoying a smoke, and yeah, I dropped you in it there, didn't I? Yeah, of course, it was just a purely legal thing, and everyone does it these days, so no one worries about it anymore. I grow my own, if you're interested. But anyway, he and I had this great chat, and it was all about the quality, the healing potential, the energetic and liberating potential for conscious dreaming. So I don't know if he's watched any of these, but I hope they strike a positive chord for you, mate. And hope to see you again sometime. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to... there's two more things that I want to talk about. One is the fact that I was pleased that yesterday I managed, as I was drifting off to sleep, I managed to imagine just a very simple single detail, a visual kind of hook, and it was this red handled gear stick on a Mars rover, as it turns out, and that process of visualizing that detail, and imagining being in the Mars rover and then stepping out. There was a sunroof. I'm guessing I climbed out through that. It's a bit hazy. I may have gone through the windscreen, but I remembered well enough the simple technique of deliberately visualizing, deliberately seeing this alien landscape, or moderately alien landscape, and that is such a useful technique, because it's such a great way to key in to what might happen next. As it happened, I turned around and gained altitude, so I was 10-20 feet off the ground, and I just turned and looked back at the Mars rover, and that was it. It was only 45 seconds, maybe 3 minutes long, this picture. So if you have in yourself, I'm sure you do have in yourself, the capacity to imagine a key detail or an element of a fictional scenario, if you can kind of place your focus of energy and your focus of attention on that detail, then immediately it will evolve. It'll bubble outwards. There's no limit to your imagination. It's except for those things where you feel you need to be, safe. So I didn't feel unsafe because I knew it was an envision, a waking dream, a brief waking dream. So that wouldn't have come up, I don't think, without the practice of talking to you and going through these meditations. And the last thing I wanted to say was I was in dialogue yesterday with I've joined a lucid dreaming group on Facebook because I need a bit of, to and fro, a bit of interaction on this subject. And there was one guy there who I don't know and shall remain nameless. But I was concerned for him because he got himself into a state where he's lucid dreaming so much that the quality of his life is suffering for it. He's spending something like 18 to 20 hours a day asleep. And people have tried, throwing buckets of water on him to wake him up, and they haven't worked. And he's got himself into this cycle where he's been like that for so long that it's become a real struggle. And I think that's what happens if you don't have a basic grounding in psychological safety, or you don't have a basic grounding in your own psychic boundaries. You don't know how far you can kind of dissipate your mental energy, then it can become a problem. And so I wished for him, I wrote him a little thing just saying, look, I wish for you that in those dreams that you can encounter benevolent beings who will, at least be companions to you or guide you on your way. And we'll see if he responds to that. Yeah, I'm sure there was something else, but it's gone. So that'll do. Thanks very much for listening once again. Cheerio.